sure all the platforms connect. Okay, YouTube, Facebook, everybody's good. We're going to bring up our guest in just a second. Dina Divine and Daniel Michael. I'm going to put on the intro just to give people time to come in, and so we can share out a little bit. Be right back. How's it going, everybody? Last show of the day, unless something else comes up, but I think this is the last show of the day. Third show of the day, Dina Divine and Daniel Michael. We got 21 people on this page. 1 in the Soldier One Studios Facebook, 6 in the Soldier group, and 2 on YouTube at this point. If these shows resonate, please share. This is a free community service that we've been offering and that's been evolving. Thank you for your continued love and support and contributions. Keep us going every day. And if these shows resonate, please share. The algorithms are seeming to ease up a little bit, but we're still getting hammered pretty good. So let's see what's going on with this this divine partnership with Dina and Daniel. Get them up here from the New York City area, if I remember correctly. We had them on about 1.5 years ago. All right, let's see. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Todd.
Oh, we're good. Okay. I thought we were having an issue there. What's happening? Long time no see. It's been about over a year.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah, we were on, I think on Valentine's. So
Valentine's. Oh, well, then it's only been a year.
It's only been a year. I know.
Yeah.
The second I thought it was a couple of years, but
Yeah.
now everything is so accelerated. Sometimes one day is like weeks.
Isn't it?
And
Isn't it exciting what's happening?
just fascinated.
Isn't it?
Everyone gets to experience time compression now. So that 1 year actually feels like about 10, 20 years now. In the
Yeah,
best way.
Seems like it's been a while, but it hasn't been that long.
No, just even we were in Sedona end of February. I was there for a light language workshop with Jamie Price, and it was really intensive and beautiful. And we were just there at Bell Rock at sunrise. And we actually met up with Isabella, who I know been on your show a few times.
Oh, yeah?
A close friend of mine, yeah. And then we came back, and the thing just started. We were just passing through the airports where people were not really sure, and then we got back to New York, and then just like poof.
Yeah, you guys are in New York, right? What borough are you in?
We in Jersey City.
Oh, you're in Jersey City. Okay, well, it's all the same area. Yeah.
We definitely feel like we're in the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that feeling. And at the same time, knowing that we are supposed to be exactly where we need to be, to hold the anchoring and the energies and all the work that we're doing here.
I know, man. It's like, and you guys are right there in the epicenter of it, and you're holding up the light. You got it figured out. I mean, I can tell. I talk to these people, on the show, and everybody's excited. Nobody's in that other state. You know, they're just excited because you can tell that everything everybody's worked so long and hard for, it's coming to fruition now.
Well, that's also because we're all at the eye of the storm. All those who've been preparing for lifetimes, and especially in this life, we've all been training for this moment. So for us, the eye of the storm and us being in this way, in this way of being, really is a place of calmness, as you've been saying, 0 point. So we're all sitting in 0 point, and it's rippling out from us and creating waves of peace and joy and mitigating a lot of the fear that's out there right now. You know, so the further you move away from that 0 point, that's where the ripples in the ocean are really happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a good test for everybody too, because it's like the way you get pulled away from it is by observing people that are, you know, and then you're like, oh, they're doing that, and oh, he's doing that, and she's doing that, and that's obviously something's popping up to be seen in ourselves.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it really just happened. I mean, people around us passing, literally just found out a few hours ago. Daniel, I don't know if we want to talk about it, but not even from the virus, but the anxiety of the virus creating heart attacks, and young people our age are leaving who haven't been prepared, who are not on the path as we've been for years. Yeah. So we observing that as well, and honoring the process that's happening for the humanity right now. Absolutely.
yeah, and we got some intel in a couple of weeks ago, I guess, or this past week. I can't remember time anymore, but and it had to do with those transitioning. I mean, there's been some talk about it prior to this occurrence and since, and that they're choosing to ascend outside the physical body. And two, which was really interesting, is that they're taking a tremendous amount of distortion with them. Like that's part of the function, is to clear more space in the physical field that we're all still in as we integrate non-physical and physical. So it's, you know, this, I think all that training that Daniel was talking about, the big part of that for me to in this, you know, where we're at now, is being able to see from the higher perspective the energetic, you know, the energetic patterns and the energetics of it all. There's no good or bad. There's no right or wrong. There's no dark and light. You know, it's just, it's nice to be able to tap into that.
Absolutely. And I've been more busy than ever. And it's been really interesting since we came back from Sedona. Not only I've, you know, had my job, now I'm homeschooling my kid. You hear the giggles in the background, that's him on his device or whatever, but, you know, trying to manage that. And then at the same time, you know, there's that sense, and I know a lot of life workers kind of got activated, excited, but sense of purpose and what we're supposed to be doing at this point. So the last few weeks being so busy with personal sessions I've been doing, group sessions, a lot of light work. You know, light language has been the thing that just went really forward for me, and all the channels opened up. And I know a lot of us experiencing all of a sudden tremendous opening, and I definitely been experiencing it where, you know, it was just galactic language. Now it's fairies, dragons, experience this weekend. I mean, everything is coming through to upgrade others, their higher selves, you know, me being the channel for it. It's just, as an observer, it's been fascinating to see it all and appreciate it and understand there's also this sacred ground, this sacred canvas that we're building right now, because there's, you know, we don't know where we're going. So the grounding is really important, and also understanding there's a sacred responsibility to what is being created at this time. So it's been great.
I know, you know, and the beloved sister that was on the previous show, she wasn't talking about this specifically, but she said it's this certain point in time. It's actually when she met or connected with her, what she called Ascension Partner. She said, I woke up and my dry erase board was erased clean.
Was it Grace Solaris who said that?
No, this was crystal. Don't ask me. I can't
We were
remember the
just
name.
we were just catching up with Grace's
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, but you know, that's kind of true too with what's happening all year long. It's been like you wake up in the morning and the dry erase markers, the dry erase board is all clean. And you're like, everything starts over. It's like I've seen so many
Mhm.
energy practitioners come on here over the last few months talk about how the expansion of their clientele, the routine of their practice is changing. You know, people coming in one time, getting empowered, the modalities changing. You know, everything's changing. You know, I know we talked about your story together when you came on before, but just as a quick overview, were you guys in separate countries when you met? How'd you meet?
We were not in separate countries. We were actually living in New York, but
Okay.
we met actually at Burning Man or coming out of Burning Man. And I remember when I made connection that we met around the same time as you and Morgan met, which was pretty
Right.
in 2015 in September.
That's right. You have
Yeah.
a good memory.
Yes, I do remember that because
I remember the story. I think I remember the story now. You guys were at Burning Man and somehow like ran into each other while you were traveling and something
coming
like
out
that.
of Burning Man, we met at some, pool party, and then there was just a lot of alignment right away, and we ended up being on the same flight the next day,
Yeah.
and everything just happened quite quickly, and we recognized each other. I mean, we were ready at that point.
Yeah.
We both had very profound experiences, and both were kind of, especially at Burning Man, very connected to the sun, to the sunrise. So we were at that moment where we were ready to meet each other, and so there was definitely divine intervention, just like you guys had it, where it was just like one after another, and you just know
Yeah.
that, especially with the flight being the same flight, same time.
Well, that morning, actually, before I met you, I actually just left Burning Man, and I sat and watched the last sunrise from that burn, and I remember just staring at it, crying my eyes out, and just remembering how beautiful it was. Like, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. What I didn't realize was that was also the moment that I first really came to a zero point for myself. And it had been a long burn, and even before the burn, I had gone on a sacred pilgrimage to Mount Shasta and done purification rituals.
Yeah.
And at Burning Man at the temple, I had released things I didn't even know I had to release. So it opened up the space to allow that kind of a union to occur, and for the powers that be to kind of cause resonance for us to actually be in the right place at the right time,
And
in the right state.
Yeah, and what was interesting, we got married at Burning Man in 2016, and we haven't been back there for a few years. And this past September, we went back, and it was the roughest time we ever had. And because we were also in a different space of consciousness.
Yeah.
And that space is like a playground. So there is like that quantum zone of possibilities. So the universe would definitely challenging who we are, our mastery, and everything. So we were also learning how, in a divine union, as you know, there's a lot of energies. I've been listening to Michael and Ani talk about it. Like, there's no manual of how it works. It's
No,
an
there's
art.
not.
It's an art, and especially when you have two powerful beings, and sometimes in those some of those vortexes, the energies are so intense that everything just comes to head. So it was.
So that's a really good explanation. Y'all had an intense time, and it wasn't all
No, but
fluffy, loving.
towards the end, what we learned is that the word that came through for us really powerfully, and something we've been working on since then, is harmonization.
Harmonization.
Harmonization is so important in what that looks like. And we actually, after Burning Man, went to Mount Shasta, and we felt how the energies were supportive of that kind of harmonization and that flow.
Yeah.
And those practices, they're important to harmonize, because there's so much talking back to the groundedness, even for everyone right now. There's so much information, mental, emotional, and how to just work through that energy, because we're in a state of overload. and being able to ground it, and in the relationship for us, how to take that energy, because we, you know, together even more amplified, and grounded to our being, into our consciousness, and to what we build in. So so that's been our journey in the last few months. And in Sedona, I have to say, was very helpful in bringing
Yeah, it will.
well.
It'll kick your ass pretty good.
Yeah, but
So
it was an workshop.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying, after
Absolutely.
that burn, I don't think anything could kick my ass worse.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, back to the concept of overload. We're only overloaded. I mean, well, first of all, we take a step back to divine union, divine partnerships. You know, as we're all on this journey and we sync up with our divine partner, and we really actualize and really anchor it in, and lock it in, is like what I would call into our divine union. What happens is that mirror is literally shined on us all the time. So it's a mechanism, I guess a universal mechanism, that allows us to hyper accelerate our own individual growth for the good of the collective. We come together and lock in as twins and twin flames, not just to leave and go explore the universe, but no, really as a divine mission to work together to increase the frequency, the resonance of humanity as a whole on the planet. So, you know, when we're in sync, it's great. When you're not in sync, especially when you're in a vortex space, with counter-rotating magnetic fields, and when you really look at what a vortex is, I mean, from my observation traveling around the world, is to the far reaches of Brazil and the Paraguay border, and you'll notice interference happens when we start talking about that. I heard something just really fall over right now to try to distract me. But when we're in a vortex space, a lot of times what the vortex really is a thin point in the veil between, this universe and another universe. And that's really where all of the energy becomes available, moves into what we refer to as paranormality. So the key is like Dina was saying, or Deanna was saying, this is all an art. Every one of our practices is an art. And the thing is it's all an individual art, because reality as a whole is this magnificent sphere. And we're only looking at reality at 1 degree at a time, or even less than that, a millionth of 1 degree. And that's how we perceive all of the world, through that one little lens. So if we turn a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, reality literally shifts. So when you're in a vortex and you're exploring reality, it can very quickly magnify out of control, and put that extra pressure on your twin. So when we talk about 0 point, really in physics, the term for 0 point or nirvana is really rest. So we've come to a point now where we're in the 0 point, and we have accumulated all of our energy in one place, in one space, in a concentrated form, and we're all just waiting until that 5D matrix really sets in, so we can move with all of our energy in one direction at full speed. But the most important thing to share is for all of us, and all of us who have done the work, is really to hold that space, hold that center, because all the things that don't want us to ascend, they will push and pull and use anything they can to move us away from that 0 point. They will use our friends, which, I had 2 friends pass from heart attacks in the last 5 days. That being said, may their journeys be safe and into the light. The Reverend Annie Jean and my soul brother Jeremy Newberry, which I just found out about an hour ago before the show. And 2 beautiful souls. And that goes back to my point that the powers that be that don't want us to ascend will use whatever they can in this last ditch effort to move us away from this path. And the world as a whole the state of the world is always represented by those 1-2% of us who have done the work and really are able to hold that space and hold that 0 point. So it becomes even more of our responsibility right now in this transition time for us to hold that 0 point for the rest of the world.
Yeah. And so that pretty much, I think, covers all or a great deal of what these couples are doing. Is there anything else that you see that these couples are doing, and what do you guys see your joint mission being together that's unique to y'all?
I think you'll find that a lot of what the couples and divine unions are doing is a lot of grid work. You know, we have these ancient grids that have been broken long before we were born in this lifetime. And cumulatively, we're all doing our own grid work projects to restabilize these energetic grids, to allow the energy to flow properly through this realm, through this planet, to make it so that our 0 point can expand further than it ever would have or could have before.
Right.
Amplify through those grids.
Yeah. So do you guys consciously do grid work? Do you think it just occurs naturally? And do you do anything together?
No. I've been traveling. Sometimes we travel together. So it was very conscious planetary activations in the last 2 years. We've been to Brazil. I've been to Peru in the summer. Went to Shasta. So Sedona. So we consciously build grids as well, physically and also etherically. So it's I think different. We all have some roles, but I think, as Daniel mentioned, in couple work and divine union is just something that feels natural. That mission and calling as one of the things. But I think for stabilization of the overall, timelines, and as Magenta Pixie calls paradise timeline, whatever the timelines we're working with. So that's definitely been a big part of what we've been doing lately.
Yeah.
So, I guess no spoilers, right? So every couple has their own grid work and their own grid projects, but it's important to remember that these aren't just abstract ideas or thoughts. This is a very ancient technology, millions, if not billions of years old, that we really can't even comprehend how to repair properly. So we're all doing our part to repair and regain aspects of that technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know with us, it's been like we're doing it, and it's really almost unconscious. I mean, we're traveling around and we'll realize, hey, we just did a bunch of grid work. In the last 45 minutes, our phones shut off and we got off on this crazy remote road, and and then we look at each other and go, oh, we just laid down some grid, So I mean, yeah, I think it's obviously some type of coordination with our higher selves.
Yes.
In teams or whatever. But you're right too, the mission part of it, the collective contribution that the couples are making, it's actually, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this, it's the priority. Like I remember talking to a couple, Ron and Michael James Garber, and they were talking about their ups and downs, and they said, but every day we get up, we're on the mission. And so it's like even romance takes a back seat to the mission.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that the truth? I'm like, what the hell's going on here? When are we going to have a little bit of, and it's like you hit the, we connect at night when we go to bed. I stopped resisting that.
We're the same.
Resisting that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll comment on that. My burn was interesting. So we camped with a camp called Shaman Dome. And we do a lot of healing work and a lot of what I call calibration work with people who have their first transcendental experiences, and they think that they're broken, but they come in and we just provide them with some realignment. But I kept saying, we were working a lot this burn, doing service work, and I kept saying, I'm going to have fun. I need to have fun right now. And anytime it got to be a joke, a running joke, because anytime I said that, like it would hit the fan. To the point where at one point I was like, okay, I'm done for today. It's been like 8 hours of work. I'm going to go have some fun, like a little kid. And I blew up a giant wubble bubble, which if you don't know what that is, it's like my friends all do because I play with them a lot. They're about 4 or 5 foot long wubble bubbles. They're like atmospheric balloons. And you can throw them, you throw them up in the air, you throw them at people. They're probably one of the most fun adult thing you can do. So I blow one up and I start walking towards the camp perimeter. I'm like, that's it, I'm leaving. I'm going to go have fun. And as soon as I hit the perimeter of our camp, which is like a boundary, a massive sandstorm started, 35 miles an hour. Yeah. And I look up and I go, really? And like, I don't have goggles on, I don't have a mask, nothing. I walk back into the camp. I'm like, okay. And later that night, I'm going around the Playa Burning Man. I finally, after 5 burns, find the telephone to God. Never found it before. So I pick up the phone and start talking to the other person who is a metaphor and also probably channeling some higher aspect. And we're talking, and he left me with one message. He goes, you will find your enjoyment and your fruit in your service to others?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the answers we get. We stop asking, but I remember we were laid down, and because I mean, we came to the States in August. We were like, gifted a cabin for a few weeks, and like, you walk in like, oh man, this is sexy. This is going to be hot. And then the dragons come in, or the galactics, or something happens, or there's shifting going on, or there's integration. And but we would ask, we're like, hey, I asked the other day, I didn't tell you, but I was like, hey, when is this going to happen? And they're like, just start laughing at us.
Yeah, like giggles.
Laugh and say, hey, you don't understand. Whatever you think you're missing, what you're going to actually experience is like eons above what you even could imagine. So like, get it out of your head. But it's interesting, because talking to the other couples, there's a lot of similarities, and one of those is the mission is taking on more clarity. Like a lot of the missions seems like they could feel them, trying to push them or force them, but it's almost like and I've heard a couple of people say this, and Morgan's actually said this several times, that the enterprises or the initiatives were not going to really gain any traction until there was enough of the lower vibrations moved out, because they've got to be constructed with pure 5D components. They can't have like old 3D stuff, which goes back to why we can't plan and do some of the things we did in the old 3D business models. But another thing that has been common with the couples I talked to has been what you described at the last Burning Man, has been these influxes. And Morgan has a great saying, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me, and sometimes it's just the energy. And then you get to a point where it doesn't even matter who it is. It's yours. If it's hers, it's mine. If it's mine, it's hers. But how do you talked about harmonization. How do you balance when you're out of alignment as a couple, or triggered, or you have energies come in? Do you have any specific things that you use for harmonization?
I think we have plenty of things. I've learned in my own travels, in my observation, that true mastery is not about not ever doing the wrong thing or being in the wrong state. It's being able to move back into the right state and catch yourself quicker and quicker each time. Right. So we use a lot of sacred geomancy. I mean, you can see a pyramid right behind me, an octagon also. We use a lot of pyramids to come back to our center, because when you step into a pyramid, when you use a pyramid, whether it's a full-size pyramid or pyramid hat, it doesn't make a difference. It puts you into a 0 point. And once you get into that 0 point, then you're just able to really calibrate and just come back to your center.
Now, do you go into the pyramids together or separately, or both?
Usually, if we do harmonization, we usually sit in a pyramid together. We do eye gazing. It's just being in the frequency.
So you look in each other's eyes until.
Yeah, I mean, just
we do the same thing.
Yeah, breath work. So just in general, I recommend for whether you're in a relationship or just by yourself, with everything going on. Like even today, I know Sandra Walter was talking about the influx of energies. I was experiencing them today. Like my heart would start racing.
Yeah.
So really using breath work. Taking deep breath and then exhale out, and then deep breath and hold, and then release like 90%. And then, so like really slowing down the heart rate. So playing with breath work to slow the heart rate is really important, and catching yourself, because we heating up very quickly. For me,
I know.
Today, like 2 o'clock, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm overheated." I ran into.
I'm dying over here. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, today's been
the heat waves. I mean, sometimes in the middle of the night, I just, we sleep in the pyramid. Daniel sometimes sleep in it, sometimes he can't, but I do. And then the waves of the heat, upgrades come in, like just wake you up, and it's just like, and I know a lot of people experience that. The upgrades constantly kept happening right now, even more so. So just the awareness of the processes of the physical body upgrades, the energetic, emotional, just all of that. And a lot of it is just communication, just having honest, conscious, relating conversations. Things do blow up, we're still humans. No matter how much mastery we can have, we still, I'm fire, Daniel's air. So obviously this souk sometimes blow into a bomb, and then we cool down and we talk through it. So it's just constantly dancing and dance, as I call it, of conscious relating. Also understanding, back to like sacred responsibility, that whatever is happening to us, we are, we rippling it out to the world. So it's that much more important for us to stay really whole and not have these cracks in who we are and this and that. So we dance with that quite a lot, and it can be, of course, challenging, with everything going on, especially now. And we're in the same, we're in the same apartment, and now, I'm here working. Daniel is in the bedroom working. Like, we're on the video calls right now. We're so busy, and yet, like, just understanding the flow of energy and coming in and saying, babe, oh, I'm feeling this. Are you feeling that? Like, how was your night?
Get out of my way.
Yeah, get out of my way. Or, I had a tough night, or I didn't sleep at all because I was burning all night. And how'd you sleep? I'm like, I slept great. I don't know about you. So, like, really having this honest.
I slept great. Get away from me.
Something like that.
Don't rub off on me.
Yeah, but it's just
yeah,
that kind of relating in a way that, there's no ego there. Non-violent, really surrendering to the experience. And having always that bigger perspective, because obviously for us, it's that bigger perspective. Like,
absolutely.
what is happening energetically right now, constantly? That's a check-in that we do.
So a good practical exercise, which I learned the hard way at this burn. So I have an engineering background too. At Burning Man, I've built fully outside toilets that flush. This year I built, which is actually at Burning Man is kind of a luxury. But this year I built a powered shower for our camp, and which is also a luxury, an outdoor shower that's powered, motors, batteries, the whole 9 yards. And so I'm going through my process, and I'm going through all these energetic experiences and dimensional experiences, and really learning the new word that came up to us at Burning Man this year is metabolize. So, you're thinking about it, you're feeling it, you're processing it, you're digesting it, and then you're really metabolizing it, bringing it to your body. But the whole burn, everyone's taking showers and thanking me for building this beautiful shower for them. And I didn't realize till the last day of the burn that I didn't have a shower. I didn't clean my energy with water like I usually do at home. And so I was getting all this debris stuck in my energetic field. So every day, like, especially when people and couples are, especially in divine union, are feeling it or feeling the intensity, shower. And use salt, scrub with salt. The salt actually releases ions. So one of the things that we've done, and through my own observation of things that work, I like to analyze things. My human design is a projector. So early on, I realized that things like burning Palo Santo and sage, what do they do besides the art of sacredness? They're also releasing negative ions. And those negative ions clear things out of our energetic bodies. So at this point, we have large negative ion generators in just about every room in our house that's constantly pulling things out of our energetic systems.
Yeah, I like what you said too about, because it's become obvious that as individual goes, so goes a collective. So these couples, for every time, even though it may only seem like it's something between them, but they're really anchoring, an expanded level of harmonization each time these seemingly mundane, breakup, makeup frequencies are actually doing a whole lot more than that. So that's a good thing to remember, that kind of thing.
And right now, there's so much fear programming out there, and this and that. People are experiencing a lot, and they're not, there's a lot of jokes on Facebook with some of my friends who, like, they're like quarantine divorce, because it is all of a sudden forcing you to be with your partner, forcing you to be with your family, and really evaluate relationship with your children as well. Like, how much groundiness, how much peace do you have, how much patience do you have to it? So there's this inward process that, we who've been doing this, I used to, but a lot of people are not. So this involuntary tuning in that's happening for humanity right now, this involuntary ceremony, we've been calling it as well, for everyone. We consciously go into ceremony because we are there to expand, but now everyone is forced to as well, and they not always used to deal with some of these things.
Well, it brings in a different dynamic because we all went through those old relationships where you'd have an argument, then you'd have that great, intense, fiery makeup sex, and then you get up and go to work. But now you can't. Now that won't work anymore
No.
because you still got to deal with the stuff. There's a question here in the Zoom room. Maybe you guys can answer it from Corrine. She says, now she's kind of on the path, sacred union path. Do you have any insight into when one part of the twin flame couple is resisting the healing of self? If there's anything the other can do to assist him?
Well,
we are not physically together or in communication, but are being pulled together on and off.
Well, I can talk into for this a little bit. So why do twin flames run in the first place? It's because they're afraid of dealing with those shadow parts of the shadow self that come up. But the most important thing I can say, and it's not, I'll let Dina answer the first part of the question, is that twins don't really lock in until they get to a place of wholeness in themselves where they trust their partner implicitly with all their power, with all their decisions. I mean, even at cosmic level, in order to lock in, you have to let go and trust your partner with all of your power at every level.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. And if I look back at when I met Morgan, because I knew, there was a part of me that knew, but I kept saying, but what? And I would just say, whatever the universe has in store for me is good or better than what I can imagine for myself with her or someone else.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of knew it was her, I also wanted it to be open. And I think that would be my answer to Corrine. And what about you, Dina?
Add for Corinne, yeah, I think, and I have some female friends who've experienced similar experiences.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've also told some friends who've experienced this, be strong enough to walk away.
Yeah.
Be strong enough in your power, not to come to trying to heal the other.
Yeah.
Your role right now is not to heal the other.
That's
Your
right.
role right now is to be that beautiful goddess who's here right now to hold the inquiry and the energies. And if the other is not ready, you know, don't drop there, because and that's the overall message I've been giving all my friends, and honestly, they kind of moved on, the ones or they're suffering through the process because they're trying. It's an attachment level there that you know, the potentialities of twin flames. There's not just the one. There's many of them. The frequencies are out there. There are those.
That's an important discernment right there. That's not in most of the materials that are out there on twins.
They think that there's only that one. No, actually, there are several twin flame potentialities out there. There are some unions that happen because they lock in, because both of them are ready for it, and they are the ones who just there to teach you a particular lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good test of your own, you know, level of growth, and how are you willing to let go, and how much you're willing to, you know, move forward from that place, and not into that attachment.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is you hear a lot of people and that they have these somebody in the previous show called it a catalyst versus, you know, they thought it was this, but it's a catalyst, and then as soon as they release the catalyst, the next day they meet an ascension partner. Morgan said, Corrine, own everything that you perceive your partner to be doing as your own. Work with the polarities until you are zero pointed yourself. So, and I think that's another thing too. I've heard people, Morgan, talk about it. I've heard other people on the show talk about it, and that is, you know, we get fixated. We're overly attached to the concept of, oh, I want it so bad, you know, and that blocks it in itself. When the reality is, if you just keep cleaning up your, you know, keep aligning yourself, you're going to attract that like frequency that Daniel was talking about. Did you guys have anything trippy, freaky, sacred occur around the equinox?
This past equinox,
Yeah.
we actually we did a meditation, and we had some friends on Zoom, so we were kind of going into equinox with a group, and that was great. It actually lasted much longer than we even expected. We were up till like past midnight. So I wouldn't say it was freaky. I think it was very grounded. It was us, in the past, we kind of been doing our own work and not so much coming into public.
Yeah.
Well, we've been, I reached out to Morgan after I saw Honey Michael, because I had this call literally of, I think you said during it that I'm having all these couples, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been for a while, and something was saying we have to go public, we have to share our
Yeah.
frequency and share with our friends and more. And we're going to actually join on April 4th. There's the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, and a lot of light workers have been called to use that kind of portal of time on Saturday to do a meditation for many, so we can join. It's a global meditation. So I've been called to facilitate that too, whoever joins. So we put that out through our Love Ripple group as well.
Right on.
So we more and more kind of feeling this energy is pushing us to go into public in a way that probably we haven't so much in the past.
Step out.
I think it's important also for couples and twin flames to have a little bit of discernment on their own personal missions. And we've all got these slightly adjacent, we're all heading, it goes back to the middle path, as you were saying, which is to have preferences, not attachments. So this way we allow the space for the universe to fill everything else in and make it manifest. But each one of us as divine unions, we also have our own individual missions. And it's also important to keep those missions compartmentalized, so that, so that we all individually are doing, we're sharing our light, we're sharing our 0 point, but our missions and our individual missions, there's a certain amount of compartmentalization and secret to that. And it's important to keep that, that secret.
Interesting. Yeah, last night was a really powerful thing when we lay down. Man, there was just one thing was said. She said one thing and that was it. We were quiet the whole time. And that happens sometimes. But I was getting all this stuff coming in. And one of the things that happened, this happened to me like about a month ago, 6 weeks ago too. So you had that voice that I guess we would call it the ego. You can't do this, you're not good enough, all that, which is kind of gone. It's not totally gone. I mean, everybody's got it, but when I laid down, I started to hear this other voice, which wasn't the higher self. It was like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And it was preference related. It wasn't about being attached or not attached or, wishful thinking. It was just, I want to do this. It was like curiosity, like a kid. And it struck me and I thought, oh, that's weird. That voice sounds like that other voice, but it's not talking like that voice. It's carrying a totally different frequency. This is new. It was almost like a melding of higher self and human aspect at a balanced state or something. I'm not saying that I'm balanced, but I'm just saying that that's what it sounded like. And I thought it was kind of interesting. It's a lot like what you're saying now. Yeah.
Well, it's also, it's
Go
also
ahead.
important to understand and to experience that as we move into higher states of consciousness, we're constantly being overlaid by dimensional beings and by our guardians and, and higher beings in general. And as they connect with us, they don't experience emotion the way we do either. So they also sometimes can encourage us to experience things so that they can experience it along with us.
Yes. And I was going to say, except for laughter, because they do like to laugh. But,
It's very
Morgan talks about this walk-in that she had in October. We were at this cabin in Northern California, and she walked into the kitchen one day and said, "Who the F is that? And what the F am I doing here?" And it went through this period of time that just ended just a week or two ago, pre-equinox. But the point is like that was part of the explanation when she got the download, kind of concluding it. Part of the explanation was that this aspect wanted to, experience certain things, and kind of like took over on an experiential level. So, yeah. And then the other thing about what you're saying too, Daniel, about as we expand, you know, like in our nightly ritual, over time, because we've seen it all, you know, like we've seen, you know, not very attractive looking things and some really beautiful things. But the bottom line is we merge with all of them. There's nothing threatening. Everything, you know, we realize are aspects of ourselves, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But it's interesting how that is really amping up since the equinox, like the room's filling up. You know, it's just filling up. Are y'all having that type of experience?
Yeah, and I experience this quite a lot with light language sessions that I'm doing right now. So last week I was interested. I was having a session booked with a friend. She's outside of San Francisco, and I get on a call, and she's like, "I'm not sure I can do this right now. I just found out my cousin died from the virus." And so, and she's like, "Maybe we should cancel." And I said, "No, we should have this."
Yeah.
And so we, you know, the transmission starts, and I have Tea Spirit in the room. I have angelics in the room. I have all kinds of other beings in the room, you know, all doing the work they need to be doing to, you know, transition the spirit that was very confused to, you know, giving more messages. So for, you know, it's happening more and more, like even when more through transmissions for me personally, but I'm tapping into realms that I haven't had the experience of angelic so strongly. I think Raphael was in rooms, a lot of green color. I know some probably have more access, but I have not. So yeah, I'm constantly being surprised, let's put it this way, which is nice because I don't even know what to expect. So I go into it as open, you know, using my higher self as a channel. But sometimes we do have presence in and out. I think right now our angelic support kind of been in our, you know, is busy too. So there's a lot of, you know, intergalactic stuff happening as well, and we are aware of it. And so we, you know, it's in and out, but it's happening. And definitely the veil is thinner and thinner as we accelerate. And it's interesting. It's interesting process to observe. And being okay with it, that they feel it in the room and not being freaked out.
But you both brought up very beautiful points about the room filling. But we have the power to determine what actually fills the room. And something was really helpful for us in our own growth and our evolution, and I highly recommend everyone listening, is a lot of Lisa Renee's work, specifically around personal sovereignty and God and Goddess sovereignty. So we've done a lot of the Hero Gamos work, which is a sacred union, sacred marriage.
I know Todd has done as well. So yeah, Daniel is not aware.
But something really powerful is the invocation of I am God, or I am Goddess, and I am sovereign, and I am free. And when you do that invocation and you fill up your field and the field around you, around a whole room before you do any type of work, it buffers out and filters out anything that is not of God. Yeah. So only things that are of God can come into the field, into the experience at that point.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's, I mean, that's, you know, go ahead.
You have to declare sovereignty. You have to, you know, build boundaries and discernment at this time, especially since, you know, we are trying to stay neutral, 0 point in the black hole.
Yeah.
We don't want to, you know, but to stay so stable in that, you have to expand your life. You have to.
Yeah. I totally get that. I mean, I know as I was doing it on a personal level in 2016 and stuff, I just saw things differently. Then there was more, you know, the way I see it, everything's the God substance. I don't care what dimension or timeline you're in. It doesn't matter. So like to Daniel's point, what I started doing was if I got in front of something that was kind of scary, I just said, I'm soul. You know, I can claim my sovereignty in any dimension, any timeline, period, end of story. Because, you know, like Daniel said a minute ago, when he was ready to go play, and then the universe had something else in mind, the minute you think you got something figured out, but that's the one thing that I think is, to me, that's it. You know, you're either that or you're not.
Yeah,
and I am. You know, I just look at it as I am. Now, have you guys had so you guys connect every night when you go to bed too? Is that when y'all do it?
It depends. You know, we kind of in our own flow.
Okay.
And I also wanted to mention, even with that, like you know, a lot of us experiencing the physical, what's, you know, since we're in the epicenter of it, the virus, and I think there's consciousness to that too. So
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
and it's
Absolutely.
important to feel, you know, a lot for people's safety, internal safety. So kind of with that, I'm God, I'm sovereign, I'm free, feeling that I'm safe to thrive.
That's right.
That the safety aspect and you know is so important right now to really embody the safety, because if you put that program out there, I think that also helps a lot. Because the reason I say that is because just, and you know, end of January, Daniel ended up in a hospital for about 6 days with pneumonia.
Wow.
Story.
And yeah, and can tell a story. And so safety and this whole like,
I got to almost die this year. I got it out of my system. So it was really good to get out of my system. I went to a 4-day workshop, a deep ontological workshop, and was really playing it full out the whole time. And then there was this one exercise that I kind of just didn't nail. Apparently I'm not as funny as I think I am. And it made me go through this process, and I got really uncomfortable. And I left for about an hour. I purged it out energetically. I came back to my center. I finished it out the next 2 days. And then after that, Sunday night, I get home. By Monday morning, I had 3:30, I had like 103 fever. By 3.5 days later, which was Wednesday, I had a full-blown pneumonia. I get to the ER. I'm already wearing a mask because I know that I have a flu and I don't want to get anyone sick. People are looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm wearing a mask. And I'm sitting there going, I'm protecting you. And so I get in, they tell me that my blood oxygen level was like 86, 84, you need to be on air. So I'm in the hospital, and I'm in the hospital for like 2-3 days. I'm in an isolation ward already. And I realized how much I really liked being in an isolation ward by myself. It was just like a silent Vipassana. But then by day 3, I saw a spirit enter the room, and I'm like, and I don't really see spirits anymore, very rarely. And as soon as I saw it and it observed me seeing, I saw it, it saw me, it observed me seeing it. I had a moment where I went, what the hell? And I came back to coherence and realized how far I was away from my center. And that was the point where I started to get well again.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like, so at 84, you put on oxygen. The nurses kept coming in, taking my blood oxygen level. And I was at 86. Normally people are 99%. And they kept looking at me kind of funny. I didn't realize till later, because you're not supposed to be that coherent even when your blood oxygen level is that low. But I snapped back into coherence when I saw the spirit, and I realized that I just wasn't in the right state of consciousness. And that was the point where I started to have a real recovery, and I was out of the hospital within 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. The internal energetics, really, that's where it lives and dies. I mean, who knows too, from a higher level, you could have been building up your immunity system for this time, you know. I mean, there's so much involved potentially. But I was going to ask you, have you guys had mutual dimensional experiences anytime that you've connected together? Has that ever happened?
I'm thinking, I mean, in Mount Shasta, we had an experience. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I had a full embodiment of my galactic self. It's as a lion in my body. And it was actually in this beautiful place called,
Yeah, it's a sanctuary.
It's a sanctuary. It's a beautiful shape in Mount Shasta, where there's 2 springs of yin and yang energy coming.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
something springs right now.
Stewart Springs.
And we were in the water, and I was collecting pieces of information through Burning Man, this and that. And all of a sudden, I think it's the water, the energy, whatever it was, I started getting activated. Light language started coming through, and Daniel came over, and all of a sudden, like I went fully online in the way that I've never have and I saw myself in that body, and I started doing these activations on him, and with my nails, this, that. I knew exactly what to do. I mean, it was all obviously in the kind of transmission trance state, and it felt like we were not in the water in Mount Shasta, in that plane, but we were in different plane altogether.
Yeah.
we were connected.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
The
I mentioned that.
Yeah, my light language fully went online, and just the full embodiment of that galactic divine self, who just
Yeah.
who was able to accept herself and her power and her ability to do this activation that I didn't even know what I was doing. After that, we had like a moment, you know, like when you come out of these moments, you're like, what the fuck just happened? Because
With the nails too, right? Yeah,
it was
Morgan's
just
done that, and then the next day I've got like scratches on me, and she's like, What happened to you?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What happened to me?"
But that segues into one of the most important things I've ever learned or been taught in spiritual growth and dimensional growth. It's always 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So it's like the stock market. It starts going up, then it plateaus, it starts to drop. And this is where most people get stuck. Now, if you sit in that drop, then it keeps dropping. But if you come back to your center and it starts going up. So after that transformational experience, what happened within 30 minutes, Deanna's drinking some coconut water, and a yellow jacket crawled into the coconut water, and it's in her mouth, and it's now stinging her in the mouth.
Yeah.
But she, instead of freaking out, she just came to her center and opened her mouth, and this thing flies out, and then we just kind of deal with it instead of overreacting to it.
I mean,
Yeah.
my whole lip was full blown for a few days, but it was always, yeah, it's interesting, like the testing that happens.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like as soon as because those experiences can be so powerful and overpowering that you kind of think, "Oh my God, I'm really I'm up there," and then something like something humbling like that'll happen. So Dina, you do light language energy sessions. Daniel, what do you do?
Depends on the day of the week.
So it's a smorgasbord. So give me an idea of what you guys do individually and what you do together, if anything, just so people will know.
Sure. Lately, I mean, everything is morphing, right? We've been just holding circles before. Now that in person, now it's I think we're starting on Zoom, where we just do exercises and meditations. So that's kind of together. But
Cool.
for me, since recently, really, the light language started being what I bring through for others as a calibration tool for their higher selves. So I've been doing a lot of personal sessions. So if there's anyone that feels they need calibration, it's been amazing for me as someone who 2 years ago that in Mount Shasta and before it started, and now I feel after Sedona and that whole experience recently prepared me exactly for this. So the divine timing of it is just amazing. And the groups I'm in, we're like, we can't believe that we're doing this right now, and together as well.
I build Ascension Tools, which I'll share with you soon. I'll also send you a set of Ascension rods.
So we'll post a link. Daniel has.
Yeah, post your links with any explanations in the comments. And this is also, this is also on YouTube live. So you can go to YouTube Solar One Studios channel, and you can put whatever links you want there too, because people always ask, and I never get to them. So.
And I also do one-on-ones, but I don't go looking for people. Usually, the universe just puts them in my path.
Yeah,
and those are the one-on-ones that I do. A lot of calibration work.
Right on. And so last thing too. Now you've got kids in the house, or a kid?
A kid, yes.
How old is that child?
7 years old.
And what is that like, having a child, a transmitter, a clean transmitter? I mean, do you guys, has anything happened that's, notable? I mean.
Oh yeah.
A lot. He's constant. He's our beacon of light for sure.
That's what I'm hearing about these couples.
Jedi training program.
He's the things that come out of him is amazes. He talks about,
he has his own video.
Yeah, he started in time, space, and this and that. I mean, it's just fascinating. He's so calm through all of this. It's been at home for several weeks already, and even today, I went with him outside, and I didn't know the parks were closed. So they just keep on quarantine and everything, and they closed our park where we used to go and, you know, bike. And he was okay. He wasn't upset. I think I was more upset than he was
Yeah.
that this is happening. So his calmness and playfulness through it, and ability to just, you know, just be in joy,
Yeah.
and that, you know, it's just beautiful. So we're learning a lot from him. He's been our anchor in many ways, for sure. And he constantly appreciates also what we do. So he asked me about it. He's like, when will I start speaking light language? He's interested, very much so. So these children, they,
Mm-hmm.
since the beginning, when I was pregnant with him, you know, I went through my mini death, and I was in Guatemala at the end of the world with him on December 21st, 2012. So I knew I'm bringing into the world a very special child who knew what he was signed up for.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that he is being the way he is right now through all of it.
I can't imagine, you know, some people, Greg Prescott, Alison Coe. I mean, a lot of people's intel's in 2021, you know, the end of 2020 being like, we don't even have any idea of what it's going to be like. It's just going to be so mind blowing. And if we look back at the previous couple of years, the next year has been pretty mind blowing. But the fact that everybody's staying home, and, you know, there's going to be this huge influx of these kids. And, you know, that frequency alone, just like you're talking about with your 7-year-old, I mean, it's not even what they say, right? I mean, it's just like you said, just they want to be in joy, they're calm, and it's like nothing's going to take them off their game, you know, and that's a powerful, powerful frequency. So what you're saying, I've heard from other parents.
Yeah.
With kids as young as like 2 years old.
And he reminds us sometimes, his middle name is Lior, which translates to light. So he reminds us sometimes that I have the light in the middle and it's hidden until I want it to come out.
Oh my God, I'm never going to hear the end of this. My daughter, my youngest of my kids, is 17, be 18 in May. And so she's got a new boyfriend. That's his name. He's light, Dad. He's light. I told you he's cool.
Well, you can always throw it back at her and say, beware of false light.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in, dropping in. I enjoyed it. You guys are a beautiful couple. And thank you for the work you're doing. Maybe we can get you two and your 7-year-old on, and we'll do another show and pick his brain a little bit.
That'd be great. He would love it.
Yes.
Or just really, yeah. I mean, we'd love to have them. We've been looking for, we've got some kids coming on, but yeah, we'd love to have that energy on here. And we've had a few, you know, they pop in, or we've done a couple of shows with them.
He's
But
got
yeah.
a demo video. I'll send it to you. You should watch it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure Morgan's going to reach out to you about it. So yeah. And be sure and put your links up, and yeah, maybe we'll catch up with you later in the year when things align.
Thank you, and much love to everyone through all of this, and keep your light. Keep on filling yourself with the light quotient, and keep centered and calm and peaceful. And then it's your divine birthright to be here right now. Lots of compassion and creativity, and may everyone be healthy through all of it. And we'll get through this journey. It's fascinating.
And may you all be God and Goddess, sovereign and free.
That's right. At all times. I am soul. Peace out. Thank you so much. Y'all